Yeah, stress. I mean, it's not just with launches.
Mm-hmm.
We have stress all over in our lives.
Yes.
Um, is there? Would you say that the stress that we experience in the launch is kind
Mm-hmm.
of the same way that we experience stress other parts of our lives?
Oh, definitely. I mean, I think that, the studies show for sure, like, um, physical, mental stress, it all kind of plays itself out the same way in the body. And, it's a lot of it has to do with our mind and how we perceive things. So that's
Hmm.
sort of the first step is kind of managing our mind, but definitely, you know, the the process of stress in the body, what actually occurs with the release of the stress hormones, cortisol and adrenaline being the main ones. But certainly there's lots of other hormones that come into play. They can be released with any kind of perceived stress. So even
Hmm.
imaginary stresses, it's
So
amazing.
what's that?
Yeah.
Imaginary stress.
Yeah. Well, just, things that are not even real, right? But your
Okay.
mind thinks it's real.
Hmm.
So as soon as you sort of believe there to be a stress, um, and you experience that in your body, the chemicals, the neurochemicals, they all get released, and you get sort of the downstream effects of that in your body all over,
Hmm.
and all the organs, everywhere. So the stress of um, a launch, which is certainly a real stress, definitely will produce the same effects on the body if you're not kind of aware of it and trying to take steps to mitigate it.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Um, and I've seen a lot of people talk about that some people manage, or I won't say manage stress better or worse, but handle it better, I
Right.
guess. Some are just really good at just handling stressful situations or whatever, and some people just cannot deal with it
Exactly.
at
Yeah.
all. Why is that?
Yeah, and that's an area that I'm really interested in. I work with people a lot in it's resilience and finding ways to build your resilience. So certainly there is like a genetic component to that. So some people just
Hmm.
their set point is a bit higher in terms of resilience, but there have been, people are looking at so what makes a person more resilient to stress and able to handle it and bounce back better. And there's a number of different factors that come into play. Um, Again, part of it is um, your childhood and what's happened in your life. So they've done
Hmm.
studies to look at, they've looked at different people and their level of resilience. And what they found is that actually having a stress-free life doesn't make you more resilient. You need a certain amount of sort of setbacks in your life as a
Right.
child. And because you need to be able to see that you can kind of recover from that and you need to learn from that. So you want a certain amount of setbacks, but you don't want those setbacks to be too severe or too huge. So
Hmm.
there's kind of a fine line. So the kids that had like a stress-free life, and then the kids that had tons and tons of hardships, those also those were sort of on the opposite ends. But the kids that had a little bit of hardship in their life and were able to kind of learn from it, those were the kids that they found kind of were more resilient growing up. So
Hmm.
that's a part of it. But then um, as adults, of course, we can learn tools. The good part is that studies have shown that you can, as an adult, learn tools to increase your resilience. So, it's not all based on your genetics and what you experienced as a child. You can actually teach yourself to become more resilient as an adult. Yeah.
Hmm. Yeah, especially the childhood part is something that I thought would probably be affecting us in some kind of way,
Oh,
and
yeah.
it sounds kind of like if you expose kids to certain bacterias or make sure that they, you know, not completely sanitized all the time, because that
Mm-hmm.
would actually make them more sick when something actually hit them.
Mm-hmm.
So this is basically the same thing, just in a different
Yeah, I
scenario.
guess so. That's one way to look at it. But yeah, I mean, um, you do need to um, learn, and that's actually one part of even as an adult is developing your growth mindset. So finding ways to learn from failure, rather than sort of seeing failure as just a black and white thing. Oh, I failed, I can't do this, but actually reframing things in your mind and saying, well, what did I learn from this? And actually, it's good to fail in a way, because it creates a learning opportunity. It allows you to kind of grow and develop your skills, and that's a big part of it, is sort of adapting that growth mindset and learning from any little failure that you may have,
Hmm.
and sort of seeing new experiences as a way to improve your knowledge and your skills.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. And learning that as a kid already, that would be a good thing to kind of just learn to see things as a lesson. Where what can I learn from this, instead of beating them up, so just
Exactly.
because something didn't kind of work out the way you wanted to.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely learned that, especially the reframe part. Kind of just stop, think, what is this trying to teach me? That has helped me a lot in the
Mm-hmm.
adult life in the past couple of years. And honestly, that was not something that I even didn't even consider before. But it's huge when you actually kind of really can start looking for the lessons. But sometimes it can be really hard, though.
Yeah. So what have you done to try to improve your growth mindset?
In terms of looking for the lessons,
Mm-hmm.
I would just say that every time something happens and you feel like it's happening to you, obviously,
Mm-hmm.
you're trying to think, okay, why is this? What is this trying to teach me? Because there's something here that I'm missing that I'm not seeing right now. So then you kind of got to start thinking about what it is that you need to think about. And I had one episode that I could not, for the life of me, explain why this was happening and
Okay.
what was the lesson.
Yeah.
So we in Norway we changed to winter tires when
Yeah.
winter comes,
We
and
do
I
that
did
too.
that,
Yeah.
and yeah, and then I was going to fill up a little bit of air into one of the tires because it was kind of flat.
Yeah.
So as I was doing that, the valve that you fill up the air with
Yeah.
kind of snapped, and all of the air just flat out.
Oh
Everything was
gosh.
out. So I had
Okay.
a flat tire.
Right.
So it's like, oh,
Yeah.
why is this happening? And like, what is the lesson here? I can't see the lesson.
Right.
But after a couple of days, when I turned in the tire to a dealership to
Mm-hmm.
fix it, he told me that the valve that I had was of aluminum, and they break easily.
Yeah.
So you need to be careful when you filling up the tires with these.
Mm.
It's like, so there was the
Mm.
lesson, right?
Mm-hmm.
But it
You
took a
actually,
while, but
it
it was
actually
there.
matters what the valve is made out of.
It actually does.
Who knew?
So yeah, that
Yeah.
was definitely an interesting way of looking at it and
Mm-hmm.
looking for that lesson. And it shows that it kind of helps to just, even
Mm-hmm.
if you don't see it right away, it can help
Yes.
you down the way. Yeah.
Yeah. That's an awesome example. Yeah.
Yeah. So, but back to launches and stress. Why are launches so stressful? Why do we think that, we need to stress
Mm-hmm.
ourselves up about it?
Mm-hmm. That's a very good question. I guess if we knew the answer to that, then we could,
Nobody would be stressed,
nobody would
right?
stress. Yeah. But I think, I mean, the answer might be different for every person. It might be more of a
Yeah.
personal answer, but certainly there's lots of expectations tied into the launch, I'm sure,
Hmm.
for most people, and it's also a lot of work. So managing your time and your expectations, I'm sure, are kind of more of a universal thing for people. And then whether or
Mm.
not you have other people you're managing to help you with the launch, that certainly plays into it as well.
So, but you have a framework for how people can deal with stress. Is that
Yeah, well,
something that
because
you
I
have?
do, as I mentioned before, I do work with a lot of people in terms of helping them to manage their stress and get them set
Hmm.
up so that they can build their resilience. Because a lot of people are kind of
Right.
looking for that, especially in these times, right? I mean, it's been a hard couple of
Absolutely.
years for people, and so in that frame too. But it definitely, in terms of going into your launch, to make sure that you're as grounded as possible. Um, and your sort of resilience tools are all there for you if you need them, would be very helpful. So usually, like I said, you kind of want to deal with your mind first and foremost. So sort of tapping into that growth mindset, A lot of studies also have shown sort of trying to switch your thinking to more optimistic thinking, and
Hmm.
so some people find it helpful to write down their thoughts and kind of analyze them, and especially the negative thoughts, trying to switch them over to more positive way, or just shifting it a little so it's not so negative. Try to find pieces of something, as you said, like with your tire story, like just
Hmm.
trying to find the little pieces of positive in the story. Not to say that, obviously getting a flat tire is not a fun experience,
It's not fun. No, absolutely not. But
right?
still,
So,
I know the next time I will not be so hard on the valve. I will try to be careful. So
exactly.
obviously,